Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Oh, hey, there's a superhero movie. Christy, Matt, Alonso talking about Thor Ragnarok.
Which comes out in like 3 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're seeing this is a super early review for you.
They believe in this, or maybe it's opening in Europe first.
That's typically what Disney does, is they'll open it in the UK and then show it to critics here in the States so that we can get caught up.
It opens here on like November 3rd, so we're seeing it super early. We're talking about it for you.
Yes, all right, so Thor tells us, answers the long-standing mystery, where were Thor and the Hulk during the events of Civil War, the last Captain America movie? Now we know, across the universe. Thor somehow ends up across the universe. He's going searching around for things, and he ends up on a discarded planet, a planet full of junk, run by not the Collector, the Grandmaster,
yes,
who is, if you know your Marvel history, is a Celestial and is related to the Collector, and so basically he ends up as a gladiator and needs to get back to Earth, Midgard, and protect Asgard because he's lost his hammer, which we don't tell me that's a spoiler. We know. Anyway, this movie is directed by Taika. Am I all over the place?
You are.
I am. You know what? Here's the thing: Thor, Hulk, across the universe. They fight. They make friends. Things are hilarious and awesome and funny. Let's watch the trailer.
Where are we?
You have no idea. Hela, the goddess of death, has invaded Asgard.
Oh, I've missed this.
And you and I had a fight recently.
Did I win?
No, I won, easily.
Doesn't sound right.
Well, it's true.
This movie is a total blast. This movie is like the most fun I've had since the first Guardians movie, as far as Marvel movies go. It's just nonstop fun.
And I know I kind of rambled through the description. This is a little bit of a Shaggy Dog story happening, like
kind of, and then this other thing happens.
And you have to have seen the other movies for things to matter. Like, people show up and things are referenced that you have to have seen other movies to really get one.
Yeah, but at the same time, like this whole thing is kind of such a lark that you could just walk into this cold and be like, okay, sure, whatever.
This is the banter.
Yeah, exactly.
This is far and away the best Thor movie, which I know that's a little bit low-hanging fruit.
That's kind of
it's
damning with faint praise.
But it's one of the better Marvel movies, and one of the things I'm really happy to hear is you see hints of Chris Hemsworth's ability to do comedy in some of the earlier Marvel movies, but this one, they just let him have it.
Yeah.
And it's great.
He has great timing.
No,
in
my review for the Wrap, I said that that he's funny, but part of the joke is his sort of almost exaggerated physical perfection and how he makes that a punchline. And so in a way that kind of makes him a modern equivalent to like Marilyn Monroe and Jane Mansfield. Because they were in on the joke of like their curvaceousness, but they owned it and they were funny about it.
There's also like a clumsiness to him here and there that's adorable. Like when he tries to be normal and he can't pull it off, and there's like a physical kind of klutziness it's a different kind of comedy, and he nails that too.
And the other thing I really like is the chemistry between not just Hemsworth and Mark Ruffalo, but then Hemsworth and CGI Hulk, right?
Yes.
Like he has these funny conversations with both of them, and they both work really well. And as well as you get these kind of, one of the things this movie capitalizes on is our familiarity with these characters, right? And it makes the most of that because you get to see kind of the banter and the relationship between Thor and Loki. Right, you get more of that developing and more of how they feel about each other. And there's a lot of fun, there's a lot of silliness. I love the direction from Taika Waititi. It's not afraid to just be goofy. Like he totally embraces that this is a series of elements that are kind of inherently silly, right? And we get, I don't want to spoil it, but there's one particular character that Thor runs into that I'm
early on,
like midway through, kind of one of the other gladiators that I think is really fun.
Hemsworth also has great chemistry with Tessa Thompson, who is new here as the Valkyrie.
She's such a badass. If you saw Dear White People, she's so great in that.
Yes, and Creed.
Oh right, she's in Creed too. Yeah, she's very good. Yeah.
So I think the two of them are great. We have to talk about Cate Blanchett.
Oh my God.
Cate Blanchett is so aware of what movie she's in. It's like she's a guest on Batman.
And it works. It's so good.
She's having a blast, and it is. I mean, she is. I described it as like she's Diana Rigg channeling Joan Crawford and Eve Arden, and then she wears like one of the craziest outfits from the entire litany of Marvel comics. That whole thing on the
Are they
head.
antlers? What
Well,
are
I don't know, but that's how she was drawn originally, and
Right.
I love that they kept that.
Right. I
so
love.
this is an actual character that exists in the
Oh,
movie?
yeah.
So
Okay.
this is a character that exists, and there's elements similar to what we've seen in previous. Her appearance is, somewhere between the way Jack Kirby would draw that character and the great Walt Simonson, who did this great run on Thor. Speaking of which, watch closely for the Beta Ray Bill Easter egg. You gotta
what?
watch really, really
I
closely.
don't, wait, say that all again. What are you talking about? Wait, the what Easter egg?
The Beta Ray Bill Easter egg.
I don't even know what that
Yeah.
is. So
Just the
well, I
people
trust
who
you.
know will
I had a
know.
really
There's
good
an Easter
time.
egg, and yeah, okay,
Right.
that's not a spoiler. It's an Easter egg. Come on, people will be mad now.
People get mad.
Anyway.
Matt. You should know this by now. Come on.
I also want to point out Scourge, played by
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban, who I love his portrayal of that character, because that character, as you see in the Simonson run, when that character gets introduced, he's a little bit more serious, or he does get introduced, but that's a character that's been more serious and kind of dour. And Urban's portrayal is more like he's kind of this dope that gets caught up in things, not dissimilar to the way Thor is sometimes.
True.
In his arc, but he's,
kind of fails upward.
Yeah, he kind of fails upward, like he gets demoted to being janitor at one point, which I think was like, oh yeah, I guess there's Asgardian
Someone's
janitors.
gotta mop up
Someone's
that
gotta
place.
mop up messes when people come in. I love this movie. It's super fun, a lot of jokes. It does it meander? Sure. But that's
I don't
okay,
know,
like
I
you
thought
don't.
It was pretty tight. I thought it moved pretty well. I was
Yeah,
bored.
it's got a good clip. I love the Mark Mothersbaugh score, which is
Yes.
almost also making fun of this whole thing.
Right.
But I want to say
Second
this.
killer Mark Mothersbaugh
Yes,
score
I
in a
know.
couple months.
He is
What's the
this
other one I'm blanking?
Brad Status.
Oh yeah, that
Brad
was good.
so
Status,
great.
that was
It
so
feels
good.
like 80s, because a lot of it has like an 80s kind of like glimmery glam
Yeah.
kind of shimmer to it. Yeah, and the score is very techno and perfect. to
But
listen to.
I will say this, that as goofy and fun as this is to watch, if you are somebody who is invested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you will not feel like you're being mocked here. Like that it actually does keep the story moving. It does interesting things with the characters, but at the same
laughing with you.
It's laughing with you, exactly. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like the closing credits of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where it's like, and here's what the next 20 movies are gonna be. Like it almost feels like this sort of self-contained, like you said, this is all happening during Civil War. So there's not, I don't think the Infinity Stones are mentioned. Like I think it's
They're mentioned once.
okay once, but so I think they're not slamming you with all the coming attractions. It is a thing unto itself, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
We should talk about Jeff Goldblum.
Oh God,
We have reached peak Jeff Goldblum.
Oh
Yes.
my God, he's so good.
It's so good. And again,
Playing
speaking of
piano, no less.
Right, speaking of being in on the joke. I mean,
Oh, totally,
very
yeah.
much so.
His-
Is this the gayest Marvel movie ever, possibly? Between Kate Blanchett and Jeff Goldblum's performances, it's
well,
just so
and just the essence of Chris Hemsworth with a
Yes.
haircut. Maybe.
yes,
yeah.
it's blast.
A bit of the bromance between Hemsworth and Banner/Hulk.
Yeah, no, there's a lot happening here, but I had fun with all of it.
Me too. Also, I should have mentioned, because I always do, I have a kid. You might have heard him. And I bring him to movies sometimes. He was pumped to see this. It is long, but he's also seen all the other Marvel movies. So I think if you have a kid who's like 8 or 9 or 10, they'll be fine. Because there are big action scenes. There's a big scary fire monster. I know he has a name.
Surtur.
Thank you. And you see him in the very, very beginning. This is not a spoiler. Little kids might be scared by the big battle scenes where there's a lot of carnage, but again, it's like cartoony CGI
Right.
carnage. He dug it, and the reason why I remember that there is an Infinity Stone reference is because he was like, "Mommy, Infinity Stones! I know what those are." Very good. Check. Infinity Stones.
Yes.
So yes, it's fun.
One of the other treats, there's many treats in this movie. One of
Yeah.
this is you actually get characterization of the Hulk, right?
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
previously
His inner life.
had just been the Rage Monster, and you actually get a separate personality. There's actual dialogue, and it's funny.
Yeah.
Right. It's fun. He's got his own kind of like pouty preteen attitude, which just amps up this movie.
And whether or not you know who Beta Ray Bill is, sorry I don't, but there are, if you're paying attention, there are a lot of great little gags and things along the way that will pay off.
Okay, so what are your numbers, friends?
7.8. I don't know. I'm almost feeling it went a little low, but I already gave it to Metacritic, so I'm locked in. A 7.8.
8.5.
Yeah, 8.5.
So our number is an 8.3. It's at 100%. The reviews are just now coming out this morning because it's not opening until November 3rd, at least in the US. So it's going to be a pretty high number, I think. So yeah, go see it. In the middle of like award season seriousness, this is a total blast.